and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick at the City of Hampton, and today we're going to talk about recycling and remind you what goes in the bin, what can't go in the bin, and how to deal with yard waste to make sure that it gets reused. My guest is Chip McDonough from Public Works. Welcome.
Thank you.
People make mistakes. This is, it seems easy. You've got the little pictures, the little card. I keep it, stuck with the magnet out there, but there's things that are confusing about what can and can't be recycled. So let's just run through the list and tell people what to put in that bin.
Very quickly, papers, newspaper.
Any kind of papers.
Shredded paper, paper bags, number 1 and number 2 plastics, glass jars, glass bottles. If it's food containers, they have to be rinsed out.
I usually run them through the dishwasher.
That'll work too. No grass.
No grass.
No
we
leaves.
recycle grass, but not in the recycling bin.
The bin is only for the mainstay of the recyclables, which is the papers, the plastics, and glass.
Okay.
Cardboard, corrugated.
And we should break it down. So
break it down
to
to size so that it fits in the container, and it should be placed so that it actually comes out during the process.
I've had it get stuck. Yeah, that's a real.
Not
if
flat,
you wedge it
sideways.
in there, it's tricky.
Yes.
I recently read that there are problems with the single bin recycling, and that if you're not careful, things can get contaminated. The paper can get too wet, or the cardboard can get too wet.
Very true. And we talked about this the last time we discussed this, but we went from the 18-gallon open bin, no lid, papers got wet, other problems getting tipped over. We quadrupled the size, at least, with the rollout container, same as your refuse container. The difference is that with the lid on it, we don't always see what's in it. So that's part of our contamination process. When the lid's closed, you run out of room in other containers, that becomes the next best.
Just throw stuff in there they
Correct.
shouldn't. Okay.
So again, no household garbage, no leaves, no grass. If you do have glass, no sheet glass, in other words, a pane out of your house window, tabletop.
A broken mirror?
Broken mirrors, exactly. So those are the things that you should not put in whole.
Okay.
So we do have some contamination, and again, about 13% is what we've been averaging.
And that's lower. Actually, that's a lot lower than what I read in the Post that people were.
There's things that we do while we're collecting, and if we see items that aren't collectible, we don't collect that container. We inform the residents of the issue. If they remove that, we'll come back and collect all the recyclables and go from there.
So we recycle, the city recycle, because landfills have limited life, and if we keep putting stuff in them, we're not going to find another place to put a landfill in Hampton. It does sort of save money sometimes, at least if you look at the longevity issue. And it's better for the environment.
It is.
Right?
And that's where we all started throughout the states, throughout the country. It is a good thing to reduce the volume of trash, bulk, whatever's going into the landfill. Our landfill currently has several years left, minimally 25, and I think it's even longer than that. So we have the capacity at the moment, but the more that we take out of that waste stream, the better off we are. The more that goes back into reconditioned plastic bottles, papers, anything that can be recycled.
Right.
So that's our whole goal. The overall goal for the state is 25% reduction, and that's been that way for several years. Part of our reduction, not only through residential collection, is through our commercial collections as well. They also have to report every year, so we use that. Whatever their restaurants, Bass Pro Shop, whatever commercial businesses that do recycle, and they do have to report that tonnage to the city.
Okay, and they, a lot of times they'll have paper reclamation programs. They'll definitely do cardboard, especially, your retailers, your things that come in big boxes. You can always see bales of cardboard out back.
Right. And we mentioned this earlier, and we didn't speak a whole lot on it quite yet, but the plastic bags, the bags that you get from the Food Lions and all the other grocery stores.
And the newspaper comes in and
all
that stuff.
Those are not a recyclable item, even though the food stores do have a recyclable box that's used in another process. The ply of that paper is too thin to actually be recycled and made into something else. It also clogs up the
machinery.
contractor's machine when they're sorting all these materials.
Because it's so light and fly away, I guess.
So no plastic bags should ever be in your recycling
plastic bags. Save them. Use them for the dog.
Correct.
That's what I do with a lot of mine. I use them for
household
liners in the household trash. Yeah, the small bins.
Perfect.
They're great. Now, how do they sort the recycling? Because I mean, I remember, I'm old. I remember the days when you used to have to go to the recycling area and you put the green glass here and the white glass and the brown glass and the number 1 plastics. I mean, you had to do all that yourself.
And that is still available at the recycler vendors. We use Tidewater Fiber Corporation, which is located on the border of Hampton and Newport News.
Yeah.
Bay Disposal is also another company that has a recycling facility within Hampton and the Newport News line off of G Street. So you can still take overabundance if you have materials that you can't get into the can, or you have more than what can fit into the can at that time. You can take that down to Tidewater Fiber. They still have the dumpsters that you can put these items in. They don't like a lot of residential traffic through there, but we are still able to do that. We also have several recycling containers, same as you have at your home, at our landfill location, our yard waste processing site at 100 North Park Lane. So in the event that on a weekend that you have something extra, you can take it down there, and we have containers that we do collect there. Well,
that's good to know, because I was going to ask you about apartment residents, because it's considered a private business. Right. We don't do pickup there, and a lot of times people want to do good but don't know how.
We've been asked that question on several occasions. We are looking into having some drop-off locations within our parks and some other locations within the city. Not a whole overabundance. 3 or 4 cans, possibly, dumpsters that you can recycle your materials in as well, just to make it easier for individuals, depending on what part of the city that you live in, a closer location to do those things.
Okay. All right. So, but I interrupted you. You were how do they sort these?
It's an automatic sorter. Some of it's shakers, some of it still is hand sorted. So they do have personnel on the lines, magnets for metals. That's all pulled out as they run the material across rollers, basically, into this machine. Cardboards, papers are baled at the end of that. All the rest of it is either boxed into metal containers and shipped off to wherever their suppliers are located.
Okay, so do we as a city make money on recycling? Does it even pay for the collection?
We don't at the moment. There is some safeguards built into our disposal at Tidewater Fiber, and it's all based on paper products. So if we hit a certain level, a certain volume, and the prices of that material is high at the time, we could possibly profit share. But at the moment, it's just a service that we provide to our residents.
Yeah, I mean,
at no cost.
That we provide to our children, actually.
Correct. Our children, to help them in later times.
You know, the plastics all have petroleums, the paper is trees. I mean, you got to pick it up anyway. You got to put it somewhere. So let's assume that cost you have to pay for.
Plastics and all those things take a long time to decompose if they go to the landfill.
Yeah,
that's why we're pulling it out of the street.
It's a service we're doing for future generations. Correct. Is the way I like to think of it. Yard waste. People don't think of that as recycling, and I think don't necessarily remember that you're supposed to put it in a clear bag.
Correct.
But it has to be bagged.
It does have to be bagged.
Some of our neighboring localities don't require that with leaves.
It has to be in clear bags so that we know what we're picking up.
Otherwise, you're going to put it in the landfill because it's
anything in dark bags is going to be picked up as bulk trash. So we're trying to remove that from the waste stream. That's all part of our recycling program, and that's why we have our yard waste site at the landfill. It's right at the very entrance when you come in. Limbs, leaves, and grass is what we're recycling out there. Any vegetative waste. Contractors are supposed to haul their own materials, and that's one of the issues that we do run into. If you have a contractor come in and cut down your tree, they are responsible for hauling that material away. We do provide the service if
we're a DIYer and we do it ourselves.
Correct.
But it's hard to know.
And there are some changes to our ordinance that are coming up that have been there. We're starting more enforcement of that, and that is a 10 cubic yard quantity per week. Anything above that would be a special collection fee if we have to haul it away. If your contractor or you as the homeowner decide that you would like us to come get it, we will for a special collection fee.
Gotcha. Now, there's limits on how big those branches can be.
There are, and they must be no longer than 6 foot, 6 inch diameter. Anything larger
that's
than that,
big. Oh,
anything
okay,
larger
that's
than
pretty
that
generous. A
has
lot
to
of
be cut
localities,
down.
You've got to have it
So
much smaller.
if it's a trunk portion, if it's cut up into thinner pieces and smaller pieces, we will still collect that at the curb.
Okay.
But anything larger than that is
Well,
on the
you know,
homeowner.
also you try to save it for fire. Reuse yourselves
Correct.
as much as possible. Yes, you guys will chip it up. You'll use it for mulch or, you know, whatever.
Right.
And that mostly is for the city. We don't resell it. We use it.
No, we do
right?
not. We have a contract through the Virginia Peninsula Public Service Authority, or VPSA.
VPSA.
And we have been in that since I've been here, and that's where all of our vegetative waste goes. They do all the grinding, they do all the processing back to mulch, compost, and fill dirt.
So what do you think the future of recycling is? Are we going to be able to recycle more complicated things, or is the market just not, the cost benefit structure is not
At the
there
time,
yet?
I think that the market is pretty well set in what we're able to recycle. Do I think it's going to be available later down the road? I do. And it's all part of the cost versus the processing portion of it. So
What it
that
takes,
all
like
plays into
fats and
effect.
oils, or
Correct.
you know, household compost. Essentially, what I compost in my backyard, people who have smaller yards or you know apartments can't.
Correct. And eventually, all of our trees are going to run out. So unless we're replanting, we're not going to have those. So we have seen a reduction over the years in the actual quantities that we're getting in vegetative waste because they're removing them for storm reasons or too close to your home. But I'm glad you brought up the other part of that, which was the oils and things of that nature, because we do have the household chemical collections, which again is done through a VPSA contract. It's done at the city yard at 419 North Armstead. It happens 4 times a year.
And I'll say, we publish that on Hampton.gov.
do.
We put it in the e-news. We try to let people know
We
when
do,
that's
and
coming up.
it's also available for all Hampton residents at the other participating localities. James City, York County, Poquoson also has those. And as a resident of Hampton, you still can take those materials to that household chemical if you miss ours.
Right, we reciprocate, so we don't
do.
have to do it every month. Okay.
So that's another thing that we do during the year. Motor oils, cooking oils, all those can be recycled. Please don't put it in your trash.
Right, right. You know, they're running cars on cooking oils now. I mean, I'm seeing that there's going to be
Biodiesel has
a
been
little
out there
better
for quite a
future
while.
there.
I think it's cut back slightly. Not to say that it's still not out there. All diesel running vehicles, because of the additives that they have to put on, basically they put catalytic converters on those to reduce the emissions and the smog and all those factors. So biodiesel is out there, it's usable. It is not something that's as easily processed individually.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you to just recap. So in 20 seconds, let's tell people what goes in that bin. You do it faster than I do.
Paper, plastics, cardboard.
What plastics is only 1 and 2?
Only no 1 and 2.
Okay.
No plastic bags. Cardboard, corrugated, no waxed cardboard, no food.
No pizza boxes.
No pizza boxes.
It's got that grease on it. Can't take it.
Cans, tin cans, metal cans, as long as they're rinsed out. 2-liter bottles.
Yep.
All those are recyclable. Please don't recycle your grass and leaves in the recycling container. Clear plastic bags at the curb. We pick that up weekly. It's processed for other items.
And, you know, just a reminder to people, this is very expensive on your tax dollar or your recycling and trash fee if you don't do it right. You're costing yourself more money.
It is.
It might seem like a hassle to rinse it out or to not put the trash in that bin, but it will cost you in the end.
It does. And every time that we have to come back out to get the container is another added cost. So if we can get it right the first time around, we get it picked up, everything's good.
All right, and Chip, if people forget this or want to print something out, that nice little graphic that you guys have.
It is all located on our Hampton.gov site.
Go to Public Works.
Under the Public Works Solid Waste section.
Okay. Well, thank you for Recycling 101, Chip. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I hope you will get the right stuff in the right bin so that we can help the environment and the landfill for our children and the future generations and do the right thing and also save costs for yourself and for all the other taxpayers out there. Thanks for watching.